America's most beloved truck, the Ford F-Series, may have just been hit with a hidden tax. And no, it didn't come from Ford dealers. It came from Washington. Reports suggest that tariffs introduced under Donald Trump are costing automakers billions. And for Ford, that means as much as $1,000 added to the cost of every F-150 rolling off the line. Truck fans are freaking out, and the fallout could reshape America's auto industry. The Ford F-Series isn't just a truck. For millions, it's a legacy. For over 40 consecutive years, it has reigned as the undisputed best-selling vehicle in America, a testament to its deep-rooted place in the nation's culture and economy. It's the workhorse on the farm, the backbone of the construction site, and a symbol of rugged independence parked in suburban driveways. This unprecedented dominance made the F-Series more than just Ford's crown jewel. It made it a bellwether for the entire American automotive industry. But that foundation was about to be shaken by a policy decision made hundreds of miles away in Washington, D.C. In 2018, the U.S. government enacted sweeping tariffs on imported steel and aluminum, citing national security concerns. The goal was to protect American metal producers, but the ripple effects were immediate and immense. For automakers, especially Ford, it was a direct hit. The raw materials for every single pickup truck suddenly became far more expensive. This was particularly painful for Ford, which had recently invested billions to switch the F-150's body from traditional steel to lighter military-grade aluminum alloy. What was once a strategic advantage in fuel economy and performance instantly became a massive financial liability. The numbers were staggering. Behind closed doors, Ford executives quietly admitted the bottom-line impact. One senior leader was quoted stating, "These tariffs are costing us more than $1 billion a year in profit." $1 billion. That's money that could have funded the next generation of electric vehicles, improved factory safety, or been returned to shareholders. Instead, it was evaporating, consumed by the rising cost of metal. The company was caught in a vice, squeezed between its innovative engineering and a new economic reality. A corporation the size of Ford can't simply absorb $1 billion loss. That cost has to go somewhere. Like a current flowing downstream, it trickles down through the entire supply chain, from the factory gate to the transport carrier, until it makes its final stop, the showroom price tag. Dealers who buy their inventory from the manufacturer saw their costs per unit climb. They, in turn, had little choice but to pass that increase on to the buyer, and that's where things get messy. At dealerships across the country, a painful realization began to dawn on Ford's most ardent supporters. The sticker shock was real. For generations, brand loyalty was a given, passed down from father to son. But as prices surged by thousands of dollars, that loyalty was suddenly put to the test. Lifelong Ford owners were forced to ask a question they never thought they'd consider. Is their favorite truck becoming a luxury they can no longer afford? In 2018, the Trump administration enacted sweeping tariffs, 25% on imported steel and 10% on aluminum, under Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act, citing national security concerns. The stated goal was to protect and revive American metal industries. But for the U.S. auto industry, which consumes a massive portion of both materials, the policy wasn't a shield. It was a direct hit to the bottom line. The intended protection for one sector became a significant threat to another, creating an economic shockwave through the manufacturing ecosystem. Suddenly, every automaker building vehicles in the United States, from Detroit's Big Three to international giants, was in the same boat. The problem was twofold. Not only did the cost of imported metals skyrocket, but domestic steel and aluminum producers, now shielded from foreign competition, also raised their prices. There was no escaping the surge. Automakers were caught in a pincer movement of rising costs, with their complex global supply chains amplifying the financial pain at every step of production. But for one vehicle, the situation was uniquely perilous: the Ford F-Series. Just a few years prior, Ford had made a revolutionary and costly bet, switching the F-150's body from traditional steel to high-strength military-grade aluminum alloy. The goal was to shed hundreds of pounds, boosting fuel efficiency and capability. It was a forward-thinking move that suddenly became a massive liability. While competitors like the steel-bodied Chevy Silverado and Ram 1500 were also hit, Ford's flagship was now disproportionately exposed to the new costs of aluminum. Industry analysts and even Ford's own executives began to sound the alarm. The numbers were staggering. Ford reported the tariffs cost the company about $1 billion in profit. When economists drilled down into the F-Series, they estimated the tariff tax, the total cost increase passed down the supply chain, could exceed $1,000 per vehicle. This wasn't just the price of raw aluminum, it was the cumulative increase from hundreds of suppliers making everything from the frame to the smallest fasteners. This left Ford with an impossible choice: absorb a nearly billion-dollar hit to its most profitable product line, or pass the cost onto the American consumer. While the sticker price might not have jumped overnight, the cost found its way to the buyer. Dealerships saw reduced factory incentives, special financing offers dried up, and negotiation room shrank. With over 700,000 F-Series trucks sold annually, this quiet cost increase represented a massive transfer of wealth. Billions of dollars shifted onto the shoulders of buyers. Car buyers began noticing price hikes year over year, often blaming dealerships. But in reality, global politics was playing a role. Online forums lit up with angry Ford owners. Why are trucks so expensive? Many connected the dots back to Trump's tariff policy. Ford, meanwhile, warned that the added costs would force them to cut jobs and delay future models. This isn't just about Ford. Ram, Chevy, and even Toyota trucks built in the U.S. were hit by the same tariff-driven costs. What started as a plan to protect American industry ended up sparking backlash among America's most loyal truck-buying base. Some economists warn this is just the beginning. More tariffs could mean even bigger price tags in the future. So after all the political maneuvering and economic debate, what does this actually mean for you? If you're one of the millions of loyal Ford fans, the answer is complicated and costly. It means your next truck, the symbol of American resilience, likely carries a hidden tariff tax. This isn't a line item you'll see on the window sticker. It's a cost woven into the very fabric of the vehicle, into the steel of its frame and the aluminum of its body panels. It's a financial burden passed down from the halls of Washington, through complex global supply chains, and parked right in your driveway. Economists estimate these policies have added hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars to the price of a new F-150. For a vehicle that starts north of $30,000, that's a significant jump, pushing the dream of a new truck further out of reach for many. The central question remains: was it all worth it? Proponents argued that tariffs were a necessary shield to protect American manufacturing jobs, and while some sectors saw marginal gains, critics point to the broader economic picture. Did these policies truly revitalize the industry, or did they simply make America's favorite truck too expensive for the very blue-collar workers they were intended to help? While Ford absorbed some costs, the pressure inevitably trickled down, impacting not just the final price, but also dealer incentives and financing options, making a tough market even tougher. Competitors like Ram and Chevrolet, while also affected, navigated the storm with different supply chain strategies, creating a newly complex and competitive landscape. One thing is certain: the F-Series driver, long the silent backbone of the American workforce, isn't staying quiet anymore. Across online forums, at dealership counters, and in community discussions, a sense of frustration is palpable. It's a feeling of being caught in the middle, forced to foot the bill for a high-stakes economic experiment. And as the industry pivots towards an electric future with models like the F-150 Lightning, a new chapter of this story is already being written. The debate will no longer be just about steel and aluminum, but about lithium, cobalt, and semiconductors. Will history repeat itself? The answer will determine the future of the American auto industry. Because the Ford F-Series has always been more than just a truck, it's an economic bellwether. When politics hits the pickup, it's not just the driver who feels the impact. It's a tremor that runs through the entire American economy.